Now I have to say, coming into episode 3 of Angels at Death, I have to once again highlight how much I really enjoy just the overall aesthetic to the series. And I'm not just talking about the general character designs and backgrounds, those are good, sure, but it's how the directing is really handled in this anime. Now, the thing with it is anytime you have a psychological, a thriller, a horror, anything like that, if you really use your medium to its full potential, you're gonna have some very visually pleasing scenes from the directing and just overall lighting. And this is what this series has been doing very well. I just love how it will focus on Rachel in very unique scenes with the camera positioning. It really feels like you're getting into the head of the characters. Like, you feel watching a lot of these scenes like this is unnerving because it really feels like things aren't normal. A lot of times when you have any sort of psychological thriller horror series, they direct the camera in a very basic way. It's always close-ups on the face, it's always the standard anime directing that you see in every single anime. And sure, in a comedy series and a more grounded slice of life series, that's fine. But if we're focusing on a building where everything seemingly gets worse with each level that they enter, you're gonna want to shift around the camera to really match the character's mental state, which we have Rachel, who's beyond broken, begging for death, clearly has a religion fetish, so obviously we're gonna want to play around with the perspective, which the series absolutely does phenomenally, and it helps elevate her character to feel even more broken and just creeped out than she already is. And I love how the lighting is presented. There's a lot of really interesting techniques that they use for flashlights and just very minor things that most people wouldn't notice, but if it wasn't there, you might notice how off-putting it feels when you look at how the light is presented to a dark shadowed wall. I love how this looks visually, and the character designs are really good as well. I actually really liked Eddie's design. It was pretty basic, but I think it was effective. It just felt like a very creepy kid, and I've heard a lot of people say Eddie is one of the most annoying villains in the game. I liked him in this episode. I thought, yes, he was a kid, he felt a little too, I guess, handsy. He really wanted to kill Rachel, even though Zach kind of had dibs on her. But I do like his character overall. I like the idea that he was so basic, he was just hitting people with a shovel, but he had the ability to control the lights, and it seems like he was kind of like vanishing into thin air. It was an effective way to have a boss-like character, so I liked his character overall. It wasn't anything groundbreaking, Zach is definitely better, but still, it was a nice addition, and I don't really see why he is such a hated character in the game, but then again, he might be very different in the game, and the anime made him a bit more grounded and more likable, I guess. But something I quite like is how you can tell this is based off of a game. But the thing with it is the good anime that adapt from a game, they do one of two things. Either one, they just adapt the story, and then in terms of the visual presentation, the mechanics of the fighting and everything like that, they just completely make that up for the anime. Or they do adapt it, but they normalize it. They make it feel a bit more natural for the series. Or they just completely butcher it and it becomes a horrible game adaptation, which is 90% of the anime that try to adapt a video game. However, this is doing the thing where you can tell what is a video game mechanic. Like the idea of smashing the gravestones triggered the boss in the area. That's obviously a game mechanic. The idea of having a remote that controls the lights that's only on the boss and you have to get it from the boss character so you can turn on the lights to take out the boss. Like, that's all stuff that feels video game-esque, but I like how you can tell where the triggers are in the video game, but they translate to the anime actually quite well. So it doesn't feel off-putting, it actually feels like, oh yeah, this actually feels like an anime story, not weird anime trying to be a video game. Like, it's hard to explain, but I actually quite like how you can tell what came from the video game in terms of a mechanic, but it actually feels like a story mechanic for the anime, which is something that I don't see done that well that often. Like, the overall story, it's nothing that's making my jaw drop just yet, but there's enough subtle hints here or there. The idea that Rachel has this, like, trigger word. She seemingly is very connected to God. I don't know if she came from a religious family or if maybe she just prayed to God because of all the bad things that was happening in her life, but the idea that she's so connected to Zach because he swore to God, it's actually pretty interesting. Obviously, this is going to be a series that we're probably not going to have all the answers until closer to the end, but there's going to be these subtle hints throughout the entire ride that are going to build up, so by the time we get to the end, we're going to see what it was always aiming for. Is this all in her head? Is this a real place? Is this the afterlife? We don't truly know, but the idea of this girl being so obsessed with death, there's a reason for it, we just don't know the reason just yet, and I'm pretty interested in seeing how that's all going to be revealed. Overall, if like this is one of the weakest floors like people are telling me from the game, then this is only going to get better for me because I enjoyed this. Like, I'm not here to write home that this is a masterpiece in the writing quality. I am here to tell you that visually, I do think it's pretty damn close to being a masterpiece with just the use of colors, lighting, and directing. It's absolutely phenomenal and some of the best in the season. But in terms of the story and characters, it's fun, and that's really all I'm looking for from this anime. As long as it can entertain me, have fun, not do more wrong than right, then I'm good. But I do have the expectations that as the show gets deeper into the episode count, it's going to be more engaging because we're going to see where these hints are truly leading, And if it doesn't do anything that amazing, then whatever, as long as it's fun, that's all I'm really looking for. But I'm quite interested to see where the future episodes are going to go, the future floors. We got a little bit of a taste at the end of the episode after the credits there, so I'm pretty interested to see what's going to happen with future bosses, future floors. But I have to say, I absolutely adore how Zack at the very end of the episode says, why can't we just go to the last floor right then and there? Because it's something that you think about, like, why can't we just skip to the final floor, which is such a video game thing to think of, and I like how Zack does mention it at the end. And I also like just the overall interactions between Rachel and Zack. I love the idea that Zack's fighting in a dark room, but Rachel has a flashlight and she doesn't think to just turn on the flashlight to point it at Zack so he can see Eddie kind of floating around. There's so many little things that just, their interactions, it's so silly and stupid at times, but I really do adore it. But let me know what you're feeling of the episode down in that comment section below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Your favorite moment? Whatever you're feeling, let me know down in that comment section below. And if you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like, and if you're new, also be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.